Hey guys, welcome to the workbench. I'm Doug. Hello. Welcome. Welcome to the old workshop where we learn and burn. No, I'm just kidding. We don't learn anything. I got a cool one today though. The dewalt ramset, which is frigging awesome. It's one of the coolest things I've ever owned. It's a shame. It's one of those things that you're gonna only use one time for your project and probably never use it again. But that's why I didn't get the top of the line one either. There is, I want to say, 3 different good, better, best of these. There is a single shot handheld one that I think you smack with a hammer. This is a single shot that it's pull the trigger, and there is a semi-automatic version. So this one was exactly $99 at Lowe's. And there's different strength loads, and they recommend you start with the lower one to see if it works, and if it doesn't, progress your way up until you're at the one that's working. I've never seen anything except for the green and the yellows, the 3s and the 4s. I couldn't find my box of 4s. I think there is another strength. I didn't see it though. And there's also other calibers. So besides 22, they go up to like 32 or maybe something else. I forget. But this is the most common. And you can also buy different length spikes. And they are very, very tough. I haven't seen one bend or anything or deflect or nothing. They're wicked hard, and they're interchangeable, so the actual ramset spikes will work with the dewalt and vice versa, so that's nice. And this is a mix of both. The orange ones are ramset and the yellows are the dewalts, and there's 2 sizes in there also. So I was anchoring my butt off. I was drilling my walls and screwing in Tapcon anchors. I think they were called Tapcon, something like that. Huge pain in the butt. Huge. I kept hitting rebar, so I didn't realize in the 40s they're throwing rebar in foundations, but they were. And there was a bunch of places I couldn't even get through. I don't have a hammer drill, first of all. I never really thought I was going to need one, so I never got a hammer drill. After I did probably more than 3/4 of the basement that way, and it sucked. And it took forever. And I saw this, I happened to be at Lowe's, walking by, saw it, like, you know what? Picked it up. Coolest thing ever. Works like a champ. The thing is super cool. It works so good. I did what would have took me probably all day. I did in like 10 or 15 minutes with this. It was so nice. It was so cool. But it was also high maintenance. It was a little finicky, and by maybe the 8th shot, it was beginning to act up and I had to take it apart. So I will get into that with you, and I will also do a little shot. I will stick a piece of molding, baseboard molding, which is actually a big old slice of composite decking, to my concrete wall with it. So I was able to get away with the lower powered green ones if I was able to land it right in the grout line of the block. If I wasn't going grout line, the green wasn't sticking all the way, and I would up it to the yellows, and the yellows were sinking them completely. Every now and then, maybe 1 out of 20 weren't sinking fully, and actually just came through with a cutoff wheel and zipped them right off. And they still held just fine, even after with the cutoff wheel zipping the head off. What else? You are absolutely going to need to clean it. It is super dirty, like all 22s. It's just a regular 22 bullet with no bullet on it. You know, it is just exactly the same as a 22 shell. It just doesn't have a bullet. It's crimped. And it's dirty. It's really dirty. There's a lot of gunpowder. 22s still use like the cheapest gunpowder ever. And it's really filthy, and it makes this act up. And I suggest you're going to need, if you don't have any like powder solvent, if you're not a shooter, WD-40 will work, or some kind of any penetrating oil will probably work pretty good. I bet you mineral spirits, kerosene, gasoline, and trust me, you will get to a point where you will have to clean it. You will have no choice, but you're going to have to clean it because it will not function if you don't. And it also will start jamming. You'll have to take it apart to get the spent shell out. And just like regular 22s, there's a lot of duds. I've probably had 5 a box, or no, probably of the big box, not of these. Not of the smaller package. I had a pretty good sized box of like 50, and there was a good 5 or 6 duds in that box of 50. And real 22s are pretty much the same way. There's always a couple duds. So I don't know if we should just take this apart first. Yeah, it is very simple. I'm trying to think what else I should discuss. It is very loud, and your face is pretty close to it. You do need earplugs. And I like to wear gloves. It did actually sting your hand a little bit, especially when it was freezing cold. It just kind of hurt a little, so I was wearing gloves and earplugs and glasses. And it's loud. It's just like shooting a 22 in your house, so you got to keep that in mind. It is just as loud as a 22 going off. It does come apart super easy, and I hope the lighting and everything's good and you guys be able to see real good. So the first thing you'll want to do, well, we could look through it together there. It's pretty simple how it works. The first thing you do is load the bolt or the spike, and that just simply, oh Jesus, I got one in there already. Just simply pushes right into the end. I have a pair of pliers over here. I just had them too. But they just slide into the barrel real easy. And then you open it up and stick the 22 shell right in there and make sure it seats all the way. And sometimes it doesn't. And you have to slide the whole thing back a bit to get it to seat fully. Once you close it, it won't go off until you spring all the way down on this plunger, and then it'll arm, and then it'll shoot. It won't shoot until you fully depress on that plunger. And again, it only took about 8 shots, and I had to take it apart because it started to act up. So we'll get into that. In case it happens to you, you don't have to panic. That very well could be what brought you here. Somebody could be having a problem with this, jumped on YouTube. So the first thing you want to do, you can take this part off, and don't worry, there is a spring in there, but it's very simple. The spring just sits inside of this little pin, and this little pin simply sits in this groove and captures it, keeps it going just at a certain range. That's step 1. Take the whole thing out. The barrel itself, unscrew. My hands are grody. My hands are always dirty. So right off the bat, this little plastic part busted up. By the 8th shot, it already had a big chunker missing out of it. The lighting's not right. I'm gonna have to work on my lighting situation for videos. So I had to take it all apart, and after like the 8th shot, and I noticed there was a big chunker missing out of that. And if you get in a situation, and it does happen a lot, where the spent shell will not eject. This also unscrews, which makes it very easy. But I found that if the spent shell doesn't eject, just slamming this back and forth a couple times will get it out. But there's also a lot of duds, and you don't want to do that if you've got a dud. And you can just unscrew that and pop out the stuck shell if that happens to occur. Inside of here is a little piston that has a little spring clip type thing, and it's super simple. There's like zero room for error. I mean, you could put it in upside down, but you're not going to. I mean, you really won't. It's very easy to figure out. You're not going to reassemble it wrong. All right. And aside from the trigger coming apart, which I did not bother to do because that's probably not the problem area, but there is a little pin, and I did take my powder solvent and soak and clean inside of the chamber. Soaked and cleaned this. I'm gonna move. I wonder if the lighting will be better. I can just tell from looking at it that the lighting is not right. The lighting is not right. We'll see if this is better over here. I had ordered a wireless mic. Oh, I was so excited. And of course, like, it wouldn't connect and didn't work. And I just sent it back, and now I got to triple check and make sure we're in frame. Just bear with me. I'm sorry. So yeah, we're okay. We're okay. We're okay. Good. So I guarantee you're going to go through this and have to do this. But it was really simple. I was worried. I'm like, oh Jesus, here we go. You know, I'm only 6-8 shots into it, and it's done. And it's filthy. The 22s are just dirty little SOBs. And every shot leaves a ton of black, gilky, yucky residue, gunpowder residue. But, yep, you'll be having to spray and clean this quite a bit. Now, reassembly is super easy, super easy. Let's reinstall this. It's a bit of a, not a tight fit, but that spring makes it a, you know, almost like a seal. Put this back on, super simple. It doesn't have to be super tight. Unless I'm doing this wrong. Stick this back in with the groove facing down so that the pin and spring will catch the groove. So easy, super easy. And you'll know it'll sit real proud if you're not in right. There, it'll drop right down when you'll know you're in. And I actually forgot to put something in too. As I sit here saying how easy it is, I forgot something in true Doug fashion. The little breech block. And I don't think that's gonna be all that tight either, hand tight, you know. Yep, groove facing down. Halfway in, stick the pin, spring, make sure it seats. Drops right in. And yep, like I was saying, this is going to be a 100% chance that you're going to have to do this. The dirty little SOBs they are. So I will go set up. We will load up and take a shot. I am actually going to put on some PPE, as in earplugs and gloves, because it is loud. And it does hurt your hand because you have to push fairly hard to engage the plunger fully. So your hand is taking the recoil very direct. It's hard to explain. Normally 22s have like zero recoil. This little thing actually stings your hand a bit. So I've got a barn job set up over here. I have to get to Home Depot and buy another 20-foot piece of this stuff. And for the time being, I just have a couple little pieces stuck together. So I am going to use the lighter load, and I know it's not going to seat it fully, and that way I can pull it back out when I get my piece. So I probably should have took the whatchamacallit out. Are we in frame? Not really. So you guys could see it load, I suppose. It's quite simple, really, but let's go through the whole every step together. So, first thing you want to do is load the spike. It goes in nice and easy, and this little thing kind of keeps it centered in there, like a sabot. Alright, and then once that's in, I'm going to go with the green. It's extremely simple. You stick it in there. It's tough with gloves on, though. It's almost impossible with these. And if it doesn't seat all the way, and sometimes it doesn't, part of the ejection system is in here. And a lot of times it just will not, you will not be able to get it to seat fully. Just push this back a little and hold it while you try and seat it, and it'll go all the way. And I probably got like none of that. But bear with me, I'll be back. Alright, this is my little barn job composite decking that I'm using for baseboard molding, which I thought was a great idea because, you know, composite decking, no matter how wet it gets, it's going to be just fine. So we're all loaded up. It's super simple, and I hope we're able to capture it all. Just push hard, make sure you're fully depressing the plunger completely. And let it rip. Boof. Yeah, it sinks it like a SOB, and it sunk it all the way. I was hoping it wouldn't, because I'll be picking that back out when I get my piece. And it smells just so good. It smells like gunpowder. But yeah, that is stuck tight as you could believe. You know, if you're using thin, crappy boards, like I had a few pieces of furring that it'll blow clean through them, but there's washers that are on these too that I removed because I didn't want big washers on there. I'll go grab you one and show you. Give me 1 second. Alright. They come with these like fender washers on the ends of them, but I took them off because they're only for certain things, you know. I didn't need them for that. But yeah, you could just pop them right off. But they were nice for like putting up other stuff. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the old ramset video. Hopefully you'll have hours of trouble-free anchoring. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.